you know exactly what Joe Biden was and why they put him on the ticket. That was impeachment insurance. Because think about if, and there was rumors at the time, and part of it was because they didn't get along, was, maybe he'll pick Hillary Clinton to be the vice president. But now you take a look at it. That's the best impeachment insurance you could ever have. Because if Hillary Clinton was the vice president now, and with the media, you would start to see some stories, and you would start to see a little bit of a push that maybe Hillary Clinton should take over. But when you have the absolute dumbest person in politics as Joe Biden as your vice president, that's why I don't see the big campaign. See, I'm convinced that if it was Hillary, you'd start to hear some rumbles of, all the things that Obama's done. Obviously, he could be impeached, but you think to yourself, what are you going to do? Turn it over to Joe Biden? And Joe, he's kind of, if you've been following him, he's starting his own campaign, and people think it's because he's going to run for president in 2016. I think even Joe's smart enough to know that he couldn't possibly win the election, but when it was the second beheading, I think it was, and some people did montages with it, and Obama, he came out, he whispered his speech and didn't really care. He was not into it, not motivated at all. And Joe Biden that day, he did a speech. I don't know if he was in Detroit or Ohio, whatever it was. He was going nuts about what he wanted to do to ISIS. He was going to follow them to the gates of hell. Every single person that he was talking about that was involved in ISIS, he was going to go after. And I'm thinking to myself, the big bleeping deal, Joe Biden, he's beginning his campaign here now. That things may be different a little bit if he's impeached, but I'll say that was a genius decision out of Obama. Because if you pick an absolute moron behind you, that's impeachment insurance. 855-839-1210. And I want to do this, too, with my settled science. The war on women that we hear nonstop, talked about, the equal pay for equal work. And this is what I call settled politics, settled lawmaking. Do you realize there's 3 laws on the books right now that make it illegal to pay a woman less? It's called the 1963 Fair Pay Act, which if I was around in 1963, I would have supported it then. I think it's a good idea. I think women should make as much as men. I don't know why Republicans don't say it. Then it was reaffirmed again the next year, 1964, with the Civil Rights Act. Then we hear about Barack Obama, the first law that he did when he came into office, that he passed the Lilly Ledbetter Act we hear about all the time, which, yeah, there's already 2 laws. You didn't need to do that. All that did was actually lift the statute of limitations. We made it to where you could go further back to be able to sue. That was be able to help out the trial attorneys. So why don't the Republicans talk about that? What are you going to do about this whole equal pay for equal work? There's 3 laws on the books. It's been illegal to pay a woman less for 40 years. And the Democrats, every 2 seconds, every single one of them runs on it. And you go to some of these campaigns, too. It's just like, oh, yeah, equal pay for equal act. Then you get the roar of the crowds. Yeah, that's great. I agree with you. It's done. It's been taken care of. It's unbelievable to me. And why do the Republicans not fight back on that? Because you know how many people that I run into that tell me, well, you got to realize that's a human rights issue. I'm like, no kidding. I would be offended that if I lived in a country where women were paid less, if it was actually legal to do that. But it's not. And I don't understand why the Republicans do not fight back on that. It's called settled lawmaking. Great idea of the Democrats, but we took care of that in 1963 and 1964. 855-839-1210. We'll take a break. Geoff Harbaugh. Free call if you want to talk about the war on women, the supposed war on women, settled lawmaking that I'm talking about. And Cory Booker. Is there anyone that's actually voting for Cory Booker, except for it's just class warfare because they don't like Republicans? Geoff Harbaugh, 1210 WPHT.